iPhone 16 Pro in 2026, is this still the best value Pro? And I think this is going to be a great option now if you're looking for it used or refurbished. I've had it for over 500 days. So let me talk to you about my experience with it and why I think that you might want to consider this if you've been wanting a Pro iPhone, but you don't want to pay Pro level prices. This is going to be let's take a look at some of the prices here. You'll see on some of these listings, they're all right around that $600 to $700 mark, with even some under $600. So these are not Pro prices anymore. These are basically getting this phone for less than a base 17 and actually closer to the price with taxes of an iPhone 17e. So why wouldn't we even consider those? We should just consider this maybe, because you get a triple camera, you get basically the same display as the iPhone 17 with the same brightness and a similar battery life. So overall, it's kind of like a no-brainer to me to choose the iPhone 16 Pro as a value option. It really is. Now, I've owned this phone since it came out, and one of the first things I want to talk about is the battery life. The battery life on this phone is pretty darn good for its size. I mean, it's not max level good, but it's pretty darn good. So my experience has been that it lasts a full day and has a little bit of room to spare, 30-20% left. A max would have like 40 or 50 with my use, but this is down to like 25-30. It still made it. So strong battery for its size. The next area is the display of this phone. It's absolutely stunning. It still looks just as good as the base 17, as the 17 Pro basically. It doesn't have one feature though. If you go to the accessibility and you go to display and text size, it doesn't have the PWM pulse smoothing feature. However, this phone never really hurt my eyes too much, especially with True Tone enabled, dark mode, night shift. It really does adapt to the environment pretty well, and it doesn't really tend to strain the eyes too much anyway. So I don't think it's really a big issue with this one. The size is also very comfortable, and it does have the pretty good flat edges here from the 16 Pro series, and the introduction of the camera control button on this phone kind of gives you those iPhone 15 Pro vibes, but with like better camera control button, better overall polished feel to the phone. So really, really enjoy it. And this silver is just beautiful with this white and the titanium edge and frame around here. You're getting titanium build on here, and just feels super nice still to hold. One of the things that's also nice about this is it has the Apple A18 Pro chip. Now that's the same chip they're using currently in the MacBook Neo. We've all seen how this chip is so powerful it can run on Mac OS. Now a lot of people that are into high-end tech, they tend to bash that MacBook Neo thinking it's not the best out there. But at the same time, the fact that it can run all the things it can do and even get into video editing and stuff like that, I think it's a very impressive product. This one is even better because this is not the binned version of the chip. This is going to be the Apple A18 Pro, which actually has the 6-core GPU, not the 5-core, because those chips in the MacBook Neo are actually slightly defective units that didn't have, so they just disable one of the GPU cores to put it in the MacBook Neo. That's actually why it's a little bit harder for them to produce as much stock for that product, because they're using bin chips on that phone or on that product, on that MacBook. So this one, not really though. So iPhone 16 Pro giving you rockstar performance for sure. So I do like that about it. And even with 8 gigs of RAM, iOS is still proven to be so simple and doesn't really do that much that really pushes it to that level that even if you're playing games or anything of that sort, it's still going to run just fine on these devices. So I gotta say, it just depends on who you are and what you're doing, but there's no like split screen. There's nothing really pushing the phone so hard that the 16 Pro is going to be sweating at all. So that's a good thing. And speaking of sweating and thermals, the 16 Pro never really got too hot. So it does get warm up in this area, but it doesn't get too hot that it like annoys you. So buying this now is an excellent use value in terms of thermals, because a lot of phones you'll buy that are a little bit older flagships, they didn't have great thermals. This one was, I wouldn't say great, but it's good. And the 17 Pro series is great. This was on its way to great. So it's still very, very usable, very nice. One of the things about this though is that it still looks ultra premium, it still looks like you paid $1,000 for it. And so for me, getting this now for those $600-700 price tags, it's a steal. Honestly, for what you're getting, it really is. I mean, this was a $1,200 phone with taxes when it first came out, so really quite nice. It's also pretty light, so it makes it pretty comfortable to hold at 199 grams. And for me, what that means is in the real world, it just has felt like a nice weighty but not too heavy phone. 200 grams is pretty, in this size of a phone, it does feel like a little bit hefty, but it never felt like heavy, like super heavy. So I do like that, but it's not super light either, like what you would find on an iPhone Air or what you would find even on a 17E, 16E. Those phones have cheaper material, so they're definitely lighter, but that heft reminds you that it is a premium product right here. Cameras themselves are also pretty darn nice, so let's go ahead and open up the camera right here. And most people wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between a 16 Pro and a 17 Pro here in 2026 if you showed them photos side by side. One thing that is very noticeable though is that you only have 25x, but I say only as if that's a problem. It really isn't. You can still zoom in very, very far on things. The thing that's really changed though about the new phones is much wide, a much more ultra wide camera on the new phone, but the camera quality on this was never bad and still actually is better than I think some current Android phones that are on the market today. So this is not behind whatsoever. And clearly going on 2 years old, it shouldn't feel that behind, but I gotta say, this keeps reminding me that like maybe sometimes it's better to just wait it out till those flagship phones are cheaper to get yourself a better value, especially if you don't want to pay that high price and then just a year later it's worth $400 less. So yeah, in 2026, the iPhone 16 Pro is the best value Pro. The 15 Pro got way too hot. The 17 Pro right now costs way more. This slots right in between those two, and it's an absolute beautiful titanium build. The last one we're probably going to see in a while has the action button, camera control right there. It still has the flat edges, USB-C. Overall, this thing, it's a value beast. So I do definitely recommend it after all these days, and I'm actually not getting rid of this for quite some time. I'm going to continue to use 16 Pro for the foreseeable future. The way I use it is use it as like more of a side phone as I'm using the 17 Pro Max right now. Let me know if you have a 16 Pro, how it's been for you. If you plan to buy one, drop your comments down below. If you want to know about certain things about it, if you're still on the fence, drop that down below in the comments as well. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.